Yeah, defensive slugfest on Sunday Night Football. Eagles have delivered with a yet another brutal watch on prime time, back-to-back weeks. Of course, Monday night, last week with the Green Bay Packers, and then this week with the Detroit Lions, the two NFC North teams. It's two big wins, though, for Philly. It's another head-scratching decision by Nick Sirianni in the fourth quarter, deciding to tush push on 4th and inches and giving Detroit a leg back into this game. They end up needing the bailout on a pass interference for A.J. Brown to end up winning the game for sure. But it's another impressive defensive performance against what we at least view as a good offense. And Green Bay has the potential to be a great offense. And, of course, Detroit, we have seen great performances from them all year. Howie Roseman, it just continues to be year after year. They build teams. They'll have one off year here or there. Excuse me, but other than that, they are terrific. And with the losses that they suffered in losing Darius Slay and losing James Bradbury and losing Brandon Graham, and losing Milton Williams in the center and Josh Sweat on the defensive line, it has not mattered because the young guys are playing incredible. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis might be the best defensive tackle pair in the NFL, and they game wrecked this game. Jordan Davis ends up forcing a pick on Jared Goff because of a pass deflection, and then Jalen Carter has 2 pass deflections himself. Jordan Davis ends up having 3. The other young guys as well. I mean, this is, for the Eagles, it feels like year after year in the first and second round we say, oh, wow, how did that player fall to them? That's crazy. Jalen Carter, one of them. He's one of the best defensive tackles in football. Jordan Davis was one of them. He's been incredible. Nolan Smith has been great. Nakobe Dean fell to them and has been great. Andrew Makuba out of Texas has been really, really good. Cooper DeJean is one of those guys. Jahad Campbell, who wasn't necessarily terrific in this game but has had great moments this year. And then they do a great job in filling other spots around them. And Zach Bond, grabbing him from New Orleans, and he's been an All-Pro last year and might be as well this year. They had a surplus of picks in next year's draft, and so they shopped at the trade deadline, and they end up getting Jalen Phillips from Miami, and he has been really, really good for Philly in his 2 games so far.
They get Jair Alexander too? Was that them?
I'm pretty sure they had Jair at one point, but he's dealing with like a mental health thing.
Okay.
And so he didn't play on Sunday, and I don't think he's actually on the roster right now. But that defense has turned into a top 5 defense in the league, and they've shown that back-to-back weeks. And with their offensive struggles for Philly, they feel like the most dangerous team in football because if the thing you're worried about is, oh, I don't know if that offense is going to be good enough for them to perform in the postseason, you're just wrong because Jalen Hurts has been incredible in the postseason. And so if they can ride off this hot defense down the stretch and get into the postseason, Jalen Hurts and, of course, Saquon had his big games against the Rams and the Commanders in the playoffs last year. This offense and defense duo, I think they're the most dangerous team in football, and I think they're one of the best teams in football as well. For Philly, it is another impressive performance defensively, kind of a head-scratcher offensively, but I almost kind of accredit that to offensive line. They're really dealing with injury issues. Lane Johnson might miss the rest of the season, and he is really, really impactful. He's their right tackle. He's one of the best in the league and one of the best in the history of the league. They lose their center in Cam Jurgens, who, of course, will lead their tush pushes, and so the tush push kind of gets shut down. We get in the second half without Jurgens, especially on the 4th and inches. Maybe that's an issue going forward. Their offensive run blocking success, I don't know the number, but I can tell you firsthand, as a Saquon Barkley fantasy owner, it's terrible. It's like Saquon is getting blocks like Ashton Genty is getting blocks. It is almost the exact same. He's getting hit in the backfield. There are no wide open holes. He's not allowed to get to his top speed, it feels like, ever. And yet they're 8-2. They are playing really, really incredible football so far this year. And Philly, I think, is one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. They are, for me, one of really the four true Super Bowl contenders right now, and they've been terrific. Even though it was another tough watch on primetime.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Lions scores trying to craft this take, and maybe you can help me work through it.
Sure.
Because we've talked about this consistently about the Lions being a front-running team, a team that gets up early and then just continues to be up because when they're rolling, they're rolling. When they're not, they're not. They've only won one game that was a one-possession win. That was at Baltimore. They won 38-30.
They were up much of that game, too.
Right. They have not won a game, and this is where it gets weird, where both teams score between 10 and 25. And the reason I think that's relevant is because they're either getting in shootouts with team or they're losing these games. They can't score, I'm going to call it they can't win a reasonable box score, right?
Yeah.
Final score. Like, they're not going to win a game 24-17. They're not going to win a game 17-10. Like, they're not going to win these games where it's like average. Like, I don't like, they're going to get out and they're going to score a bunch of points, or the offense is just going to look below average and it's going to struggle. And that's kind of the concern that we've talked about with them for weeks at this point is that inability to go out and play a normal football game. Like,
to play multiple normal football games, I'd say. Speaking on the wishy-washiness, last week against the Commanders, Dan Campbell calling plays, 44 points, 546 total yards. This week, Dan Campbell calling plays, 9 points, 317 total yards.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good at all. They are of course, they are out of the postseason at this moment, which is really, really tough because, of course, they want to be in the postseason. But I think it is more of a factor because if the teams above them, Rams and the Bucs are a little bit of a different story, but if it's Chicago or Green Bay or the Seattle Seahawks, if they have to go on the road in the postseason and it's not in a dome, they are going to struggle offensively. Jared Goff was cold physically on Sunday night. You could tell. He is I didn't actually look, but I'm pretty sure he was the only starter out there on both sides of the ball for both teams with sleeves all the way down. And he's essentially kind of wearing the turtleneck thing. You could tell the dude was cold. And it was near, freezing temperatures. It was near like 35 or so degrees. There's kind of a wintry mix that comes down at the end of the game. But he showed that with the way he played. He missed so many throws in this game. They were terrible on fourth down because he was missing big plays, especially in the second half. They are 0 for 5 on fourth down, which is kind of unheard of for the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff misses Brock Wright wide open on a touchdown because he's trying to force it to Amon-Ra. He misses JMO on a fourth down. Like they did not convert fourth downs because they couldn't run the ball on fourth down. They threw it almost every time, and they couldn't get it done with Jared Goff because he was missing, because he was cold, like physically cold, and you could tell. And that's going to be a problem if we get to the postseason and they have to play at the Chicago Bears. Even if you think they are better than Chicago, and a lot of people do. I do too. I'm going to pick Chicago because I don't trust Jared Goff and that offense to be able to hit plays down the field because he's going to be cold. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Lions Stadium is indoors, right?
Yeah.
I've just going back. I'm not going to look at 2021 because the Lions were just awful in 21. But I'm curious, in these cold, Vikings are indoors.
It's really late in the season.
Yeah.
Is when you really want to look into it.
Chicago.
He's won games before in the cold, but it's just especially a problem this year. And I think in large part it is because they don't have Ben Johnson and they don't have that creative play calling. They aren't getting what they want on the ground. They had 74 rushing yards on Sunday night with Jahmyr Gibbs, with Sonic and Knuckles. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and that offensive line. That can't happen. They are really becoming really reliant on Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's not a problem because a lot of teams are really relying on one guy. Seattle's really relying on Jackson Smith and Jigba. But they need to find consistency in the other players as well, in JMO and Amon-Ra. They need Sam Laporta back healthy. They need those kinds of things. They need everything to be perfect and everything to be working perfect for the result that they want, which is a win. And if they don't get that it's almost a loss every single time. If they can, if they lose their next 7 games, I'll be correct. I'll expect apologies from all Lions fans because I had them going 6-11. I don't think that's going to happen. They still have winnable games on their schedule to play New York on Sunday indoors, and they have their next 3 games are at home. So everything's still kind of in front of them, but
that Green Bay game, the rematch
against Green Bay is going to be really critical. They will play one more cold weather game outdoors this year. That's at Chicago, the last game of the year. Other than that, everything's indoors. Every game is indoor. The last 6 games are indoors, so they need to win all of those games if they can, of course, but win as many as they can because they need to win this division so that they can at least host that first-round playoff game, and if not, they need to get lucky and have to play
the Chicago game. So 6 of their last, the number greater than 6 games are indoors, not the last 6.
Yeah, their next 6 games are indoors, and then the Chicago game, the last one of the year,
which, depending on how the season plays out, could be for the division.
Green Bay,
Chicago's in first right now.
A wild card spot, very possible because Detroit's not in the postseason right now.
Yeah.
Really anything's on the table there because they'd have the head-to-head over Chicago if they beat them again. That's going to be a really, really critical game. And I go ahead and circle that one as potential Sunday night football game, which would mean it'd be even colder. And I may lean Chicago there. But that's really kind of takeaways for both teams there.
Yeah.
Philly feels really dangerous, and Detroit feels a little bit wishy-washy. And the schedule's going to have to pan out for them. They haven't had this concern in the past because they've gotten the right matchups in the past. They were the 1 seed last year, and then they got shocked by Jaden Daniels. The year prior, they hosted 2 playoff games, and then they went to San Francisco, not cold weather. And so they haven't had to deal with that yet. They need to win the division or get lucky because they can't play on cold weather right now, clearly.
All right. That Green Bay game I'm so excited for. I think I might be more excited from it just from Jordan Love and Matthew Golden doubter, but I want to see them prove themselves after that week 1 dominant performance. I want to see what that looks like.